So good morning.
Morning. Happiness. Yeah, it's always been that.
Yeah.
I was talking to my sister the other day. She's younger to me, and her kids are still younger. And I told her there's one thing I have had always is my happiness. All the ups and downs, nothing can beat a smile. Oh, it's an ability to accept things as they are. Things happen. And if we can just move on, take our learnings, but don't let them affect us. That's what, and I don't know where I picked it up. It must have been somewhere at some point long, long ago, but that's who I am. That's the essence. Not yet. It's a work in progress, always. Any leadership is a journey, and it's always a work in progress. So, what did I have to go through? I went through ups and downs in my career, but the only thing that helped me in those storms was a lighthouse, my purpose. So I was very, very, very fortunate to find my purpose young enough to work for people. And since then, that has kept me going. So whenever I was in any stormy situation, as we are, then I found that lighthouse, the darkness of the ocean, and I'm swimming, struggling, but I see the lighthouse, so I know where to go. That's the purpose.
You're so deep today.
You're so deep today. Oh, no, the morning was
Like,
deep.
who's this girl? Like, you're so deep today.
I think being a career woman, managing people, difficult circumstances. I have worked in different war zones. I have worked in different emergency situations, earthquakes, floods, different kind of situations, and with difficult teams, challenging legal situations when you're working in a country, all of that. And also being a mother and balancing all of that to make sure that, while I'm pursuing my career, I also have a life which is more than just work. And work never felt like work, never feels like work because of that lighthouse. And that lighthouse for me has been when I first started working for children in the street. So I was part of an organization. It was part of Mother Teresa's group. And we were young people just out of college and trying to do some volunteering work. And there we were working on the streets with these little kids who didn't have a home, lived on the streets, just sometimes begged or sometimes, did some odd jobs. And we tried to see how we can make their lives better. And then I realized the difference between the have and the have-nots. Some come from privileges and some don't. So how do you actually make sure that people in this world start to even it out? How do you take away some of the differences? We can't change everything, but we can make an effort to reduce the inequality. So that's my purpose for a long time now, since I was 22 or 21. Yeah, kind of. It was more than that. It is more than that. It is about how do we bring the respect for everyone? How do we see people as equal, even though we are diverse? And of course, if we can, we try to change circumstances. We try to improve the situations, yes. But it's beyond that, particularly now that I work for this whole leadership theory. It's about, can we accept people as they are, as we try to make their lives better, make our lives better, but can we also start accepting? So respect, acceptance, inclusion, some of these are big themes that I'm working with now. So I studied mathematics. So I was graduating in mathematics, physics, chemistry, maths with distinction in chemistry. I graduated. And that's when I found this work with the street children and I pivoted. So I have a love for numbers. I love numbers even now. I love analysis and all of that. But then all of a sudden, I really wanted to do more for people, and that's when it changed. Once I started working for the people, I felt like I had to get a professional degree in that field. So I did my master's in sociology, and then after a few years, as I moved on to the ladder of becoming a country director and all of that, I also did my MBA because it served the purpose now of having more tools and techniques and way of management in a professional way. So my learning journey has been always there. I keep on doing short courses, long courses. So when I started working on the environment, so there was a time when people, and I was working for all these people and all these different communities, I felt like environment has a big role to play in our lives. I mean, we live with the earth. If the earth is not there, we are not there. So I also now started studying landscape management, which means how do people, communities, farms, rivers, mountains, all of them live together? How do we manage that ecosystem? So I did a course with the Netherlands University to do that, to understand that. And I also ran big time projects. That's a different story. I'm digressing. So we can cut it there if you want. We have to go back. That's a whole different story. Yes. Yes, learning is a big part of what I thrive in. I love it. And so every time I'm trying to do something new or something extended is when I go and do some additional courses or some new way of learning. So when I became a leadership coach now, which was I think it's about 3-4 years ago, I started thinking I have been working in different organizations in different countries. I have reached, that level of management, which was now the core of the key management teams and all of that. Now I wanted to continue. So how do I keep my purpose going? How does my lighthouse beckon me? What is it saying? And I thought that while I figured out my way of navigating through the storm, maybe with a little bit of guidance, other people can do it easier. So if I can guide people to, live through those moments, those different opportunities or, challenges, then that's an easier way of managing. That's an easier way of letting them progress. So I need to redo this. I think I have anyway, it doesn't matter. So it was this was now about 3-4 years ago when I started thinking about it. What can I do more? How can I influence more? And it came to my mind, and at that time I had a coach. I had my own coach. She is from Asheville, North Carolina, and she was running a big retreat center. Now this retreat center is also was the home of Doug Silsby, who is a founder of presence-based coaching. It's a philosophy of showing up as we want to show up. It's a philosophy where you don't let your past or your situation necessarily affect the present. You learn how to be mindful. And it really resonated with me because that's something I've been trying to practice or have been practicing. So she was my coach, and I was working in West Africa. And I was the country director for an organization called BRAC. We were pretty big in the country, the biggest in our portfolio. And then I thought that, okay, let me then start finding something different where I could continue working, but in a mode of supporting other leaders. So how do I support other leaders? And who's a leader? A leader can be anyone who wants to grow, who wants to move from A to B. So it could be someone who's looking for a promotion, or someone who wants to go to university, or someone who's retiring and has to move on in a different way. So I've worked for 25 years and now I'm retiring. I need to lead my life. Or it's a company who's trying to, reach their goals, their impact, whatever they are doing. So leadership is a very unique concept where you are a leader wherever you are. And how do I support those leaders? So that's when I got, again, coming back to your question, is that do I go and study? I did. So I got licensed as a coach because I really had to know if I have to guide others, I better know how to do it. So I did 2 licenses. I got the presence-based coaching, which I really adhere to. And I'm also licensed under Gallup. Now, Gallup is an institution which had been running for probably about more than 50 years for sure, where they have an isometric test called Strength Finder. So it is an isometric test where it gives a profiling of a person based on their strengths. So I also believe that while we look at our challenges and our weaknesses and we work on our performance and improvement, we go to our strengths. And Gallup believes that. That's their theory. That's what they have been doing for many, many people across the globe now. And I got licensed under them, so I can administer that test. And I am also a coach for it, which helps people to understand if this is my strength, then how do I use it? So for example, like coming back to the learning, one of my key strengths as it comes out from this test is a learner. It just means that it's one of the top 5 strengths. It just means that I really enjoy learning, knowing about things, and it's a coincidence that I'm being able to use that over my years, and I didn't know that it was a strength. If I knew about it a long time ago, I could have really managed it in a different way. I could have been more intentional. So things like that. When we know our own strengths, we can use it to our own advantage. It can be both. So because it happens to us in the sense of like we fall into situations. Things happen to us always. We are pursuing a path, and we just come across opportunities, we come across challenges, we recover through challenge, all of that. But at the same time, if we're intentional, we also learn how to do it. So it's both. And for a leader, it's important to be mindful that it's both. While things happen, circumstances happen, and we actually are driven by it, but it's on us. It's on me, it's on you to decide, how do I now fit into what is happening to me or change? I can only change myself. I can't change you. I can't change anybody. I can motivate. I can possibly talk about things and give you a direction. But you are the one who will choose. So it's both.
I like that. So what happens if I don't want to change?
It's fine. You don't have to change if you don't want to change. But if you feel it, if there's a calling, then you will. And my role or our role is to make you see different perspectives. And you choose. And when you choose, you will probably be, motivated to change. Because growth happens when you want to change. Growth doesn't happen when I'm sitting on my chair and I'm just not wanting to move. Growth will happen only if I am willing to take that challenge and move, whatever it is. Because we come with a lot of fear. We come with a lot of fear, we come with a lot of our background, and sometimes they just make us freeze. I sometimes, to my clients, I talk about, or I also see examples. For example, this lady was there. She was a client of mine, and she was the head of her department. And for some reason, there were times when she wouldn't be performing as they expected her to. And then one day, she just said that sometimes I just sit on my chair. I think it was the second session. I sit on my chair and I do nothing. I come to office, I sit there. I don't feel like, and what's happening? Why don't you feel like doing anything? And then she said, I don't like being like spoken rudely. I don't like when people are loud to me. So when I come in the office and my boss is loud to me, I just freeze. I can't do anything. I go back to my table, I sit there, and I really don't do anything. And then we started working with her to now see, even if your boss is loud to you, there are two things you can do. First of all, you can talk to him, have a conversation, which will make him realize that he is being loud to you. The second thing is that you can take care of yourself and be mindful that even if that happened, even if it is his personality, that doesn't mean you have to stop working. Your work is your work. So working on both. So a lot of my work is around having difficult conversations because it's important. Very often we keep it to ourselves. We don't communicate. And if the other person doesn't know what's going on, then we'll be forever stuck. So all of that. So there's a whole body of work. But it also comes from our own human evolution. Like as cavemen, when we were living in caves and we would go for hunting in groups, and there were all these animals out there, sometimes we would just not know what to do, and it's mostly the three triggers that happens. One is fear, which comes because I'm in this whole situation, unknown, and everything is unknown in those, that situation of being a caveman. So there's a fear. Then I can freeze. I just don't know what to do, so I'm freezing. Or I can fly. I can run. So it's fear, flight, and frozen. So we still do that. We still do that when we are triggered. Now, how do you recognize that trigger? How do we know that right now I had a bad morning and I really feel triggered? I broke one of my favorite cups and I didn't want to break it. It broke. And then I felt like, okay, something is triggering. Something is going, and then I recognize it. Now, once you recognize it, you can deal with it. So it's the whole cycle of working on leadership, which is from within you. That's one part of the work I do. So, you know what? I also recognize more and more the need for space, right? Because we need space and we need grace, all of us. We go through a whole lot of stuff, every one of us, particularly in our context where we have moved out of the community. Like we were living in a community setting. It was a village where we lived and people were supporting each other. Now we have moved on to urban life, most of us, far away from our families sometimes, and we don't have that ecosystem anymore. That's not there. So that's when it happens that we are now all of a sudden in this rat race trying to move on into different whatever, work, kids, families, or friends, or fear of missing out, that, okay, I want to be in every party or I want to be whatever. So life is not the same anymore, but we come from a community setup. We come from the base where we stay together, we support each other, right? That's where we come from. So my take on leadership is that it's self, yes, it's self, because I'm trying to reach somewhere. I want to go from A to B, whatever that B is, and I need a path to go to A to B. But I'm not doing it alone because I'm not geared to do it alone. I need the support. I need people like friends, community, families if they're around, colleagues, all of that. I need that support system. And for me personally, because the world is global, it's a global village, so I draw in with many, many people that I have across the globe in different parts of the world who I can reach out and say, hey, I am wanting to talk about this and I want to talk about this. Are you available? And we do. And it's vice versa. So all of that, building up that community, because that's where we come from and that's what makes us who we are. So that's been very important. Now, beyond that, beyond having that relationship, which is very key these days, is also, it's not just for myself. I'm doing things for me personally, the goal has never been, am I a leader or not? The goal has been am I providing the ecosystem for others to be leaders? So it's beyond me. It's never about me. It's about people that I'm dealing with. Am I encouraging them? So when I'm working and I have a team, I would regularly make sure my senior management team, which would be sometime between 5 to 10 people who would be my core management team, and I would always encourage them. I would mentor them to be the leaders, because I can do only so much on my own. And if I don't have a team who I can trust and who trusts me, it won't work. And let's say I have a team of 1,500 or 2,000 people. I won't be, as one person, I won't be able to reach all the 2,000, but it will cascade down. So it's all about building that culture, the culture of trust. So yeah. Anyway, I digress, as I said.
Tea, or is it coffee you're having?
It's a milk coffee I'm having. I need to pour more.
You need more?
It's just too light, yeah, but doesn't matter.
Okay. You're good?
Yes.
So far? So far, so good. Okay. We go back to the ocean and the lighthouse.
Okay. Okay, let's go back to the ocean and the lighthouse.
Let's go back to the ocean and the lighthouse. And we have the lighthouse beckoning you.
Mm-hmm.
How does one know or identify what the lighthouse is saying in different seasons of our lives?
Let me reframe it. How do we know that there is a lighthouse, first of all? Because we don't sometimes recognizing, we see a whole lot of stuff happening. We see the waves and we see how difficult it is for us. We see life and death. We don't see a lighthouse necessarily. So the first thing is to recognize the lighthouse, right? And it's not that we are not mindful of the storm. We are, because we are struggling. It is a struggle, whatever it is. It could be that, okay, I have been put on a performance evaluation plan and I just don't know if I'll have a job in 6 months, and I have a family to take care of, and I don't know how to earn after that. So that is a storm. That's a real storm. Now we can struggle in the storm for sure, and we are struggling. But the lighthouse is something that I see and I know that if I can get out of this storm, and I will, I know where to go. So it's the path. It's the direction we are going. We may be in different situations, different circumstances, but I know where to go, and that gives us the courage to keep going. So it's more the concept of knowing this is my purpose, this is what I care for, this is where I need to go. And though I'm in this storm and the waves are crashing, I may not survive, but possibly I will, because I know where to go. So that's the concept of the lighthouse, to see where I want to go. And that keeps us going. So yeah, I think it could be so many different things. But I like the lighthouse. So, when I work with young people, and I have been intentionally doing it in the last 2 years, meeting them in different circumstances, having a lot of conversations with them, and all our surveys that we do, which are anonymous, and our conversations that we have revealed that young people today, people who are, let's say, about 16 or 19, whatever, in that age bracket, they are really going through a lot of pressure and anxiety because of this whole idea about I have to deliver, I have to really do this and that, and there's so much of pressure from the school, from friend circle, from parents to do better than others. Now, when that anxiety sets in, that doesn't help them to do better than others or better than themselves because it's so much stress that they are carrying. And this comes up all the time as I work with young people. Now, when I do my workshops with the young people, the workshops are intended to make them realize about themselves first, and then about different external, including career, budget, preparation, managing your household, your nutrition, if you're living on your own, as you move out of your home to go to university, how do you manage a life of your own? That's the purpose. We call it Future Ready Leadership. Now, in this Future Ready Leadership program, when I see these young people coming in and sharing that anxiety and stress is an issue that they are grappling with, then we started working with them on emotional intelligence and all of that. Now, one very, very popular session that came up in this whole, it's a 2-day workshop, or we all do a 4-day workshop. But one popular is the personal identity. So it's purpose and personal identity. So who am I and who do I want to be? So it's beyond a career choice sometimes. It's as a human being, as a person, how do I want to show up? So that's what is personal identity. So that's what resonates with them. They just love it because sometimes we are anxious because we are pushed in many directions and we don't know where we are going. So it's about first learning that this is who I am and this is where I am going. So that's kind of a purpose. Now, let's say I want to be like a doctor, right? Let's say that's what I want to be. And my parents also want me to be a doctor. That's all fine now. But for some reason, I don't end up getting a seat in a medical institution. So what do? Do I just say that, okay, but purpose is not to be a doctor. Doctor is a way for some purpose. So we help them identify, why do you want to be a doctor? Is it because you want to serve people? Is it because you want to just do medical science and you really do research? Like, what is the purpose? And when they find that purpose, it's not one career path. There could be multiple career paths that could lead to that goal, right? And it's okay to change. Like, I have changed so many times, but I've not lost my purpose. So it's not about a fixed job. Purpose and job are separate. I can do many jobs to find my purpose. So if my purpose is just I want to be the best parent, if that's my purpose, then I could do it in many ways. There's no one single way to find my purpose. So that's how it is. Now, if I'm in the storm and coming back to the lighthouse again, and I see the lighthouse, and I'm in the storm, it's not that I'll go by one path. I'll have to navigate. If I can swim, then I have to navigate which way am I swimming, which is the safe path, which is looking like, okay, maybe there are some rocks that I could hold on to before even if I reach the lighthouse. Or I can see some planks or something. So all of that. So it's about recognizing that I know there's a lighthouse that keeps me going, but also navigating. It's not just blindly going somewhere. It's about knowing these are my path. This is my path. I chart out my path and I move according to what is needed at that point. And that's where the resilient piece comes in. So I work a lot around, my leadership is based in resilience building. Resilience is when I fall down. How quickly can I recover? How quickly can I move on? So that also comes to that. I can move on first because of my purpose. Second, because I know I can navigate my path. I know that if this doesn't work, this path, something else will work, and I'll find it. So it's about confidence. It's about believing in myself. It's about the people I have who I can depend on. So it's drawing into a support system which helps me now to reach my goal. So it's multidimensional. Yes, I mean, I think, yeah, it's sometimes, and even for me, there is so much I want to do. And when you are growing, you are being rewarded for being a kind of a manager you are, and you start believing that's the right way. So this is my management style, and I've been rewarded because I'm getting promoted, and I believe that this is the right way, right? And then one day you may wake up and realize, oh, this may not be the right way because this doesn't fit anymore. And that's when you start wanting something different. Now, when you want something different, you have to really shake things up. And when you shake things up, it's not always, it's a transition, it's a change. So when transition happens, we go through a mind-body shake-up. Internally we are shaken up. And that's the time when we need to take a moment of grace. And that's the time when you need to think and go back to your drawing board and see your relevance. So I do it all the time. Not in the beginning maybe, but after, particularly as I started getting more and more, recognizing more and more about myself, I feel I need to give myself a lot of space. So I give myself space. I don't rush into things necessarily anymore like I did before. I take time to analyze, think, calm down if I'm triggered, so that at the end of it, I can take rational decisions. Because when our brain and body is wired, we are triggered, we can't take rational decisions. So it has been a really big piece of learning for me, even particularly in the last 5-6 years. It's been a work in progress. Is how do I calm down? How do I take time off? Because that's what will help me to take more informed decisions. That's how I will know that, yes, I have selected the right path. So that's very important for me. And more I have realized the value of it. So when I work with teams, of whether it's a nonprofit or a corporate, and I work with these teams and I try to bring them together, in the form of a team to help them become more efficient. And often I come up with people who are also stuck in their own mindsets. So the first trigger is that do they realize that they are stuck in the mindsets, And that's where I give them space to reflect and find out what is it that is causing you, whatever is causing you, what is preventing you from going where you go. So it's the first point is reflection, and reflection comes with space. So giving yourself space, and also when you are trying to change, it's like a baby walking. When the baby walks, the baby doesn't walk like on the first day. It takes a few, it'll falter. So you'll have to let the baby walk, but you have to also be cautious that the baby is not hurt. So it's that tension between, okay, the baby is walking, we don't want to prevent, but we don't want the baby to get hurt. So it's just like that. So when we are trying to change, it's just like that. We don't want to fall because remember we have the fear factor, we fly or we get frozen. So that's there. So now we are trying to change and all of that is there. So let's give ourselves grace. It's okay to fall down. If you're learning to walk, we have to fall down and we have to pick ourselves up. So that's what I talk about quite a bit.